Hi, welcome to the Sankofa Pan-African series. First, have you downloaded your free copy of our children's illustrated biography of African legends yet? Please do so if you haven't. Don't forget that we owe our children a responsibility to expose them to our history. Also, please help us to continue bringing you videos like this one by supporting us through Patreon or by buying me coffee. Please subscribe, share, and like our videos. What are the real causes of insecurity in Africa? Apparently, terrorism and violent religious extremism are some of Africa's greatest security threats. Local groups with international terror links have found roots in East, West, and Southern Africa. Years of government-led security force interventions, many supported by the US and European governments, have not succeeded in bringing an end to insurgencies. Now, unless holistic approaches that incorporate tactics beyond counterterrorism are included in strategies to prevent violent extremism, Africa's many national and regional efforts will continue to fail to deliver sustainable and credible peace. To say that the current security landscape in Africa is complex is, of course, an understatement. Equally complex are the drivers of conflict and violence, which include inequality in various forms, particularly gender-based inequalities. Some other drivers of insecurity are, of course, bad governance and corruption, high unemployment, lack of equal opportunities, poverty, food insecurity, way too many guns looking to wreak havoc, ethnic and religious polarization. Among the several dimensions characterizing the continent's peace and security landscape, some stand out more easily and continue to engage the attention of women activists and others, as they should. However, I believe that there are intersections or interconnections which do not seem to be getting as much focus as they need. I'll attempt to quickly run through a few. Let me start by posing this question. Can poverty be dissociated from inclusive growth? I don't think so. I really don't believe so. Poverty and social injustice go hand in hand and have long been drivers of insecurity in sub-Saharan Africa. This is why, as the economic strength of the continent continues to dwindle, we have seen armed insurgencies under various excuses feeding off of the populations. How many young, educated children from wealthy homes do we see taking part in Boko Haram or Alshabab? There is an urgent need to raise living standards, to tackle extreme poverty and inequality across the continent. If we are to succeed in tackling insecurity, we need to meet infrastructural needs. Within nations, we need to put into place policies for inclusive growth, investments in education and health, and we need to provide public services. However, we can never attain any of these goals if African resources continue to be so callously exploited by poor leaders alongside the developed countries. Africa is a young continent. While the youth could become an important economic boost in most African countries, we have continued to discountenance their value, as was clearly illustrated by the carnage which attended the NSAS protest in Nigeria. A moment which must continue to remain cardinal in the annals of Nigeria. Without improving our educational system by evolving a system that is fit for purpose with a focus on entrepreneurship and technology in order to optimize opportunities, we cannot have a secure continent. And our continued failure to do so will continue to have wide-ranging consequences. So, do we think our lives are insecure right now? We've not yet seen insecurity. If our youths continue to get increasingly disillusioned with their prospects, and they have to continue to risk life and limb in order to find greener pastures abroad, social cohesion will continue to elude us in Africa. However, when the rain falls, it won't fall on one man's house alone. So, let the rest of the world pay heed. This rain that has started to fall will erupt into a hurricane and a tsunami. The world needs to learn from this current pandemic. The young lives that perish every day as they brave deserts and raging seas are only the beginning. Yes, there will be no security in Africa, but other continents should know that it is only a matter of time. 1/3 of the world cannot continue to thrive at the expense of the rest of the world. The potential of Africa's youthful population cannot continue to be contained. If the continent is to have any form of meaningful security, then we must be able to exploit our resources so that we can meet our needs for education, opportunities, and jobs that secure the lives of our youth today and their future. The expanding imbalance between economic growth, political and social inclusion is also a key threat to stability. Without well-established democratic systems, transparency will remain elusive. We have also seen how in various parts of the continent where the government benefits one ethnic or religious group above others, election-related violence are easily sparked. As activists, it is sometimes difficult for us to step outside of our various affiliations, sometimes ethnic, religious, and all of that. However, we must continue to wrestle those ethnic, class, and religious biases. We also need to be wary of conceding the stitching together of our narratives by outsiders. It is alarming when one reads how ready religious and other do-gooders outside Africa, how ready they are to pronounce our problems as religious or ethnic conflicts without bothering to nuance those categorizations. Let us try and look at and actually see that young Boko Haram or Alshabab man or woman. Yes, they are ready to maim and kill their neighbors at the behest of religious or communal leaders. But will they be so vulnerable to such manipulations if they had the benefit of a fit-for-purpose education with a promise of a secure future in a socially just and equitable society? Just think. They say the devil makes works for idle hands. So let us be wary of people who want to claim that they know us more than we know ourselves. Nobody will feel the pain of any war we allow ourselves to be lured into more than us. Bad governance and corruption don't just undermine development, they also drive violence. So also do the many developed countries who encourage and tolerate the wanton exploitation and enabling of corruption by their corporate and individual citizens. Africa is blessed with abundant natural resources and land, but they have often been exploited irresponsibly. This has damaged the environment, widened wealth inequality, and fueled conflicts. Serious problems with water distribution, population growth will continue to put great pressure on the need to modernize and on subsistence agriculture. Now, while climate change effects will also continue to aggravate problems like a drought, floods, or poor harvest, these will continue to create refugee populations and increase strains over shared resources. But again, if we look at the discourses around climate change, we can see how at one point it was conceived as an environmental issue, then it became an energy problem. Now, climate is being rightly recast as a security threat. So far, the debate has focused on investing climate negotiations with a greater sense of urgency. Political momentum behind the idea of climate change as a security threat has progressed quickly, as we can see from the recently concluded COP26. Africa, with its history of ethnic resource and interstate conflict, is seen by many as particularly vulnerable to this new type of security threat, despite being the continent that is least responsible for global greenhouse emissions. Now, climate change is only one of many security, environmental, and development challenges facing Africa. Its impact will be magnified or moderated by underlying conditions of governance, poverty, and resource management, as well as the nature of climate change impacts at local and regional levels. But adaptation must take into account existing social, political, and economic tensions. What we need from climate activists and others is more commitment to global justice, the need for a multi-pronged approach. That's what's at stake. The performance of African economies over recent decades demonstrates that engagement with the global economy plays a key role in our state of insecurity. Let me try and conclude by asking another question. So, if by some magical occurrence Africa gets rid of corrupt leaders, will that singular occurrence solve our problems of security? I doubt it. At this point in time, we need to realign our strategies to strengthen participation in the global economy and bring more widespread and sustainable benefits to our countries and the continent. Our approach needs to be more diversified. Identity categories and the placement of people into them are by no means natural or pre-given or even accidental. We must be participatory in defining who we are as a people, as a continent, as a force to be reckoned with. Understanding insecurity as a complex discourse should continue to guide us towards broader insights into solutions that cannot be achieved if we only look for narrow solutions. Our strategy should key more into the premise that political, economic, social, and environmental justice are interlinked and the heart of our survival within our various communities, be they within our countries, continents, regional, or global communities. As much as our strategies need to focus on the issues that we're so good at identifying within our countries, like gender issues, issues of poor leadership, we should continue to address those things. But our approach must also be both internal and external. Security, inequalities, and consolidation of market forces and actions, growing demands for social justice, the pandemic that has been renting the world, all must continue to demand our attention. We cannot have any form of security in a world in which our homes continue to deteriorate into places that cannot sustain the lives of our children and future generations, where all the benefits of all our resources keep being diverted to develop other parts of the world. As Africans and people of African descent, we must insist on our common humanity. We and our children have as much right to decent livelihoods and existence which cannot be achieved without social justice at home and at the global level. We need to challenge activists in the global north to be more radical in their engagement with us by being more resourceful at chipping away at the structures which have been instituted to perpetuate the present insanely skewed power balance between our continent and the developed world. Thanks for watching. Please download your free copy of our children's books and support us through Patreon or by buying me coffee. Also, tell your friends about this channel. Thank you.